Hey, so does this game look familiar? There's gonna be a small group of people that know what this is. The rest are gonna be like, Cherry, what on earth is this? Why are you doing this to me? I didn't realize you were a weeb, and I'm pretty disappointed in you. And that reaction is exactly why I want to talk about it and the other games that I never hear people talk about. So I'm starting a series called, Hey, have you played this? I'm jumping into games, generally older games, that I never see people talk about. From live streaming over the last 5 years, we've talked about the Fortnites, the Call of Duties, the Gears of Wars, the Kingdom Hearts. We generally know where we all stand with them. But I gotta bring up these games that I enjoyed that fell into obscurity, or at least, if there's a following behind it, I would like to see it. And like everything else on my channel, I want to look at these moments that hold a place in my memory, what made these games great or ungreat, and if there's any takeaway that can be applied to games of the future. So I'm starting with this 90s anime fighting game, Evil Zone. Of all the games I played as a kid, this game has to be the one that I never hear anybody talk about. A lot of the titles I played as a kid did end up having their huge followings, and like I was in my own little bubble, but then whenever I started socializing with more people, more friends, high school, college, and beyond, I started realizing how popular these games were. This one I never hear about. Evil Zone focuses on, hold up, let me look this up. I played the game for years but never paid attention to any storyline. I know it has something to do with a tournament. Okay, so the main villain, Ihadoka, is an evil, handsome being that exists in multiple dimensions and plans to cause great destruction. The people of the world of Ipreseru, odd name that means happy island, like, confine her to a dimension known as Evil Zone. You know, Evil Zone, from the people that brought you Happy Island. Anyway, while she's imprisoned there, the game is a tournament to determine who the strongest warrior is on Ipreseru, and who can take down Ihadoka the best before she escapes and causes any more destruction. Which, alright, that's fair enough. That's a decent enough premise. Fighting games do love their tournaments, or at least maybe that's just me wanting to throw gameplay footage of Tekken into this video. And oh yeah, they always had this synopsis in the intro that would have saved me from digging through Wikipedia.
Warriors have many reasons for wanting to fight Ihadoka, but right now, they are warriors.
You get to choose between a whopping 10 characters to be your champions, which in comparison, Tekken 3 came out 2 years earlier and had 21 characters. And again, this allows me to put more Tekken footage into this video. As well, all of Evil Zone's characters generally fit an anime stereotype. We got the Power Ranger, we got the brooding businessman that does card tricks, the schoolgirl that has demons, the 10-year-old girl that's actually 10,000 years old. No, seriously, 10,000. The angry bounty hunter that got lost on his way to a berserk casting call, any bloodthirsty psychopathic guy that loves pentagrams, Tifa Lockhart 2.0, Sailor Moon 2.0, and Al. And Al, who's also in the show.
I don't understand how you can be happy about fighting. I don't even understand why we have to fight.
Who was unfortunately the first person I fought in this game, which makes me always think of him as the Glass Joe of this game. You can also play as Ihadoka herself, and she honestly does feel better to play than most of your Goros, your Seths, or Ogres that are other fighting game bosses. There were 3 big things that set Evil Zone apart from other fighting games I played. I first noticed the characters were more fleshed out than most fighting games. Like, they made each round of fighting in the arcade mode feel like you were watching a type of anime series. Like, there was the voiceover narration, they had title cards, a lot of tune in next week moments in between fights. We also saw Evil Zone give unique dialogue between characters, which seems to be finally coming around in relevancy with games like Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11. This was pretty cool because it felt like you were coming along for this quest of each character. It felt like you really wanted to find out what each individual character's stakes were coming into this tournament. The first character I played when I was a kid was Donzabar. I can never pronounce his name correctly. The Power Ranger.
The ultimate hero, Danzaiba!
And it feels like this interesting hero's mission where each person fought wears him out, and he's surviving to the end just to try and beat Hiadoka with his last power. Being the 8 or 9-year-old that I was, and the filthy casual fighting gamer that I also was, the weight of increasing difficulty took its toll with each round. Like, I was going through a lot of continues to try and beat everybody about like stage 6 and 7 onward, and it really made me feel for Danzivar. At the final fight, it felt like the weight of the world was on me, and my 2 friends and I, it took us over 2 hours to finally take Ihadoka down. The hype was so real, and God, that was one of my favorite memories. Like the endearment that all 3 of us had, like trading the controller between each other and finally being able to beat her. I don't remember who beat her, but it was hype. I give Evil Zone a big credit for making me like these characters and want to see their journey and what that would bring them. As well, a lot of fighting games tend to do like a little title card at the beginning of it, like an arcade or a story mode, or it's like something super simple that just gives like a text description of what they're doing, and then a small cinematic at the end. Evil Zone jumped ahead and had interactions to introduce the show, the character interactions, a post-fight cutscene, a closer, and then an episode recap before the next round. Like, for only 10 characters, they went in on those 10 characters. Big point number 2, the game is pretty easy to pick up and play for anyone. I mean, really, there's movesets that you learn in a game like Street Fighter or Tekken or Mortal Kombat. Evil Zone is basically, you hit triangle. You hit a direction button with a triangle. Try all the different flavors of the triangle direction. Double tap each direction for even more flavors. You can hold the triangle button and that'll let you do other triangle moves to do more triangle damage. It's a world of triangles. And then if you need to defend, then use square to block. Given it still does require more nuance than I'm giving it, like any fighting game, of course, to defeat a lot of the AI enemies and stuff. And you've still got your grapples and your leaps, and you need to watch not to expose yourself, but the ability to jump in felt really simple, a lot easier than any other fighting game, where a lot of times it felt like if I was coming in new, I was just resorting to button mashing right out of the gate. Big point number 3, it is really flashy with its style and in-game animations. Like, hold up, I'll put one of the wilder moves on screen. It's like when Mortal Kombat put in X-rays, but in an anime T-rated package. And as a kid, I was like a moth to a flame with it because of all the flashiness, and really, I still am. I really do love how cool all of this looks. I think that flashiness clicked when I played the game with my friends because it was fun to watch the fights, let alone play them, and they had all this animation and all this visual spectacle to it. While impractical in a lot of ways, I gotta give them points for looking cool while you do it. The gameplay isn't necessarily as strategic as, say, your Street Fighters or Mortal Kombats, but damn did it look cool. I'm also going to give some praise to the end credits, like each time you end up beating Ihadoka, because it is like the chillest vibe that I had growing up. Something about it makes me want to peacefully go on like walks outside on sunny days. Like it's very calm. It's very soothing. Now, I can't really explain why in 1999 this game didn't catch on. I was just 6 years old at the time and not necessarily looking up sales numbers and checking Metacritic for audience reception. I'm seeing some pretty middle to low review scores from Google searches, and my immediate reaction is, yeah, that makes sense. I still love it, but that does make sense. For my own take, the problems I see are, number 1, the simplicity in Evil Zone is its blessing as well as its curse. Once you get the idea of the combat flow, every character plays about the same, but with a different form of projectile, different animation, but all around everyone does the same thing. You don't have the diversity of, for example, throwing in Tekken again, where Hwoarang plays a lot different from Eddie Gordo, plays a lot different from Jin, plays a lot different from King, and plays very differently from Xiao Yu. I just never figured out how to learn how to play Xiao Yu. In Evil Zone, once you get an idea of how the AI fights are and you learn what triangle plus direction does, you're pretty much set. The learning curve as well as then the learning ceiling are both pretty low, so I can see why this didn't build in any long-term meta and strategies, and oh yeah, and there's also like no comboing in this game. Most abilities knock down the enemies and there's no room for juggling. I'm also adding in a note after I recorded this main voiceover. After streaming every character's campaign, I realized how often the game becomes like this projectile fest. Every character has so many ranged attacks along with like ranged grapples that it gets really challenging to close the gap at times. It's like when you're trying to fight Ryu in a Street Fighter game, then they spam Hadouken like crazy. If you know what I mean by that, you know the frustrations. It can be maneuvered around, but can slow down the pace of play. Problem number 2, the fact that there's only 10 character kinda tells you how the rest of the game is gonna be. Meaning there's arcade, there's versus, and not much else in terms of modes. Given that simplicity can carry some games, but in this case it ties into my first point of when you learn one character, you basically learn them all, and yeah, this game can get stale fast. For me as a kid, I was so enamored by the characters, the cinematics, and the feeling I got trying to take down the AI opponents that it carried me, and it was enough to just jump through the characters and see what their move kits looked like and their story was about, and I paid less attention to the game and how it was played. Problem number 3, the voice acting and cheesiness. Like, from the anime norms of the time, it can be off-putting to some, and I'm very understanding of that. I don't know if it's something to do with translating from Japanese and the voice actors that got involved. And given, I know this is a negative, but it's a positive for me, because I will always laugh and smile at some of this voice acting, like here.
Magician. You must be a sorcerer, right? Oh, I wish I had your power.
Don't be absurd. I'll show you some of my power now.
Enough? Did you say enough? Gee, I like that. I'm excited.
It's not necessarily going to be your big dramatic takes. You're not going to think of any iconic lines after you finish playing this game that are going to stick with you over time. It's just this.
What in the world was it? Ruri, here comes another one.
Yes, I see. Are you okay, Danzaba? Tactical frame is overloaded.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried, but it's nothing compared to the attack by Cryos.
Danzaba.
On the subject of Cryos, there seems to be a lot of things we should already know about these characters, or at least a lot that's assumed. Like, while streaming Evil Zone, I tried paying attention to most of the dialogue and the narration, and just about every character brings up people they're fighting for, or then showed they have a connection to other characters, but it feels like there's an actual series somewhere that would describe these characters more that we just don't have. You can unlock more background story behind characters as you play the game, but it seems a bit of a moot point when you're learning the majority of the information after everything's all said and done. Having said this, looking for takeaways, there's certainly something to be said for character depth and making fights feel cinematic in fighting games. And we've already seen the genre start going down this road with more fluid combos, flashier ultras, and stuff like that. A game like Injustice does a great job of embodying a lot of this while also having the good fortune to have characters incredibly fleshed out and a legacy of comics behind them. So you have a depth to the journeys of each character. Like Evil Zone, in a lot of ways, that was my first exposure to characters with depth in a fighting game. And when I relate to a character, it encourages me to push for a mastery of that character because, like, I feel that sense of ownership to do so from that connection. And combine that with making fights feel like they're straight out of an anime or a TV show or a movie, and it really does do a lot to liven up the fighting experience. Now, I won't say the game developers should stare this down and start pushing it more, because we're really already on that track from what it looks like to me, so I'm more or less just hoping that this trend continues. I'm also not encouraging developers to push for flashier fighting if the gameplay doesn't call for it, or sacrifice gameplay value to make stuff look cooler. I just know it brings me into a game more when things look cool, even if it's as simple as me being drawn to big, pretty, colorful lights. If the game can handle having really strong gameplay alongside of a very flashy cinematic look to the fights, then that's perfect. If a game needs a bit more strategy and it's going to play slower, this is where I think of Street Fighter in particular, then that's not that necessary. The value comes from watching two players fight each other in a very strategic manner. But hey, I'm just throwing a positive voice out there for cinematic fighting. It's cool. So, hey! Have you played Evil Zone? because it's fun to play through, and if you can find it at a retro game shop, it'll probably only be about like $5, and you'll probably beat everything within a week. But even playing it to this day, I still think it's an anime cliche-filled, flashy, fun game. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you've heard of or played Evil Zone at all. I'm starting the series off with a lot of games that I've played that I see nobody talking about, but as we go on, please ask me if I've played certain games that you see as obscure. Chances are I probably haven't played them, but I'm down to seek them out and experience them myself. As well, I'll be streaming all of these unheard games on Twitch, and I'll let you know when I'm going live via Twitter and Discord. All the links will be below. Thanks again. Do the like, sub, bell thing if you enjoyed, and until next time, stay thirsty, my friends.